Good afternoon. Hello, welcome to First Baptist Church of Decatur. My name is Sarah Lewis, and I have the privilege of serving as one of the pastors here at this congregation. We are so grateful to host this event and to host conversations events where we can showcase authors that are doing very important work in our community. From all of us at First Baptist Church, just welcome and enjoy this conversation event.
Thank you so much, Sarah. My name's Joe Davich. I'm the Executive Director of the Georgia Center for the Book, and it's always a pleasure to be here at First Baptist Church. I know there's a lot of new faces today in the crowd who haven't come to a lot of our events, and we have actually been doing events over here at First Baptist for over 16 years now. Years ago, when the Decatur Book Festival was just starting and was just a wee little book festival, we managed to book a couple authors that we knew were going to have a large following and we needed a bigger venue. So I was tasked with calling the Baptist Church to basically beg, borrow, and appropriate as much of its facility as I could for the book festival. I mean, why they chose an Italian Catholic guy from West Virginia to be the spokesperson for the Baptists, I have no idea. But it's worked out, and we have a wonderful relationship after all these years. Deborah and all of her volunteers, and Ann, who runs the green room, and Bob and Randall, everybody up in the booth. These are all volunteer folks, and they put so much time and effort into these events. So give those folks at the First Baptist a round of applause. Now, I know those of you who came in early got the little lecture about Clay has a hard out time because we've got to get him to Hartsfield-Jackson today. So I can assure you that all of those books that are back there for sale that are signed were signed here today by Clay and his hand. There was no auto pen involved. So they were officially signed at this event if everybody asks or wants to know. And if they really want to ask, send them my email. And I will let them know. We are going to do Q&A following, so I will pull this microphone out. We'll probably have time for about 10 questions. Going back to Barbara King-Solver when she was here, questions, as she said, should always end with your voice going up at the end. So just remind you, I know everybody wants to talk to these folks, but keep the questions. Don't pull a Helen Thomas White House press briefing and do follow-ups. Just one to start. Thank you very much. Also, a few things I know you saw on the crawl coming in. We have some wonderful events throughout the rest of the month and through the rest of the spring. Please do come out to as many of those as you can. We would love to see you all. We also have, because we are not just the Georgia Center for the Book, for some strange reason, we are the Georgia Center for the Art Show as well. Mike Glenn, or as many of us in Atlanta know him as Mike, the Stinger Glenn, has a display on the 4th floor of the Decatur Library celebrating 250 years of African American history. He is a major collector of African American news, magazines, and ephemera. There are some amazing broadsides and pieces of newspaper dating back to the 1700s, the 1800s that are on display, as well as some other amazing physical items. So do come out and see that. The gallery hours are on the bookmark, but it's Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, 1 to 5, and we would love to see you there. But I know you are here to see these folks that you love, so I'm going to give a brief introduction and we will just get this rolling. The book, of course, is Burned Down Master's House. It is based on true stories, and of course, by telling those stories, keeps those stories alive and keeps them in our memory and in our present and in what we need to do. So joining us in discussion today are, of course, singer and activist Ted Winn and the 2-time New York Times best-selling author and host of The Clay Cane Show, Clay Cane. So will you give us a big round of applause for Ted Winn and Clay Cane?
Check one. How's everybody doing today? Can y'all hear us okay? Can y'all hear us? Back again. I was cold until I saw the smoke. Look at me in a church on a Sunday. Oh my God. I hope I don't burst into flames, but I burn it down. I'm feeling good. What's up, everybody? Oh my gosh. Woo! It is an honor to be here. What a beautiful crowd on this Sunday. Oh my, the second Black History Month Sunday. So it's just It's incredible. Thank you all for being here. I want to thank everybody for coming through. It means so. Oh, we could take it down. Sorry, that's all right. We good. I want to thank everybody for being here, coming out. It feels good out here today, but I know it's cold for Atlanta. So for y'all to be out here, it means so much, and I'm just so grateful. What a week it has been, y'all. What a week it has been. Number 5. Woo-woo. They told me, they said, nah, you can't go from nonfiction to fiction.
Right.
Nah, fiction is too competitive, right? And here I am, and it's because of y'all.
That's right.
Because I got no support from quote-unquote legacy media outlets. I only had support from incredible people on social media, also Joyanne Reed, Don Lemon, independent media. The gatekeepers can't keep.
That's right.
And I want to shout out 3 special people, the McCains right here. They did, Nick and Janine, y'all did amazing reviews on social media that went viral. It meant so much to me. Gina right here, who supports books. Gina came through, tied it, like she saw how the history rhymes. Like, I just appreciate it and I'm grateful. And it just shows what we can do collectively. And we have put so much money into Black-owned bookstores.
Yes. From
Philadelphia to Texas to Georgia, right here. Right now, y'all are supporting a Black-owned bookstore. So it's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Look at God. Look at God. Yes, sir. Won't he do it? Here I am with Teddy. Teddy, the lifter, baby.
We're in church on a Sunday. I feel like I just got to say God is good.
God is good. All the
and
time.
all the time. Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Yes.
So let's get into it. How many of you have the book already?
Look at that.
Right. That's incredible. This book has been riveting. It's been emotional. It's been enlightening. It's made me laugh. It's made me sad. It's just a range of emotions. And I want to just start by saying that you did an incredibly amazing, impressive job with writing this book.
Thank you.
Just the way that the conversations move, the storylines, the detail. Without even seeing it, I see it. Y'all see it? Yeah, you actually see it. So I want to just dive right into it. Just give us a little bit of the foundational inspiration for writing this book to begin with.
Well, when I was in college, I was a Black Studies major. And I was, Black Studies major, right? Rutgers University, RU, Rutgers University, Newark. And historical fiction is where I really began to fall in love with history. You know, I'm from Philly, and I didn't know anything about Black history. I mean, I had read, I was really into like Malcolm X and Huey Newton. That's the little bit that I knew, right? Because when I was in '92, X comes out, of course, Malcolm X, Spike Lee's Malcolm X, and changes so many of our lives. But in college, I began to really understand it. And it was books by authors y'all should all dig into. Margaret Walker, Jubilee. Arna Bontemps, Black Thunder. Richard Wright's Uncle Tom's Children, Not Cabin. These books, it made me, I was learning. I was like, wow, I understood history better and politics better and policy better. So that really triggered me. So when I was in college, I began writing a short story called Magnolia Row. And it was based on 2 men who were enslaved that happened to fall in love. And I did that because I saw a couple of sentences about these 2 men in a book called Taboo, Homosexuality in Black America. That may not be the exact name, but the first part was Taboo. And that was all that we had of them. So I was like, what would their stories be like?
Yeah.
Who are they? And I did research, couldn't find much, but I wanted to resurrect them with more than just pain.
Yeah.
Because history, other people decide who will be remembered. So I wanted to change that. I wanted to flip it on its axis. So I began writing that in college, but then nobody would, pick up the book. Nobody was interested in it. And I was always a fiction writer, right? And then I saw more of these stories over and over of rebellions. And, we love Nat Turner. We love Nat Turner, Denmark Vesey, but just more. Putting a little something in somebody's food. A little tea here.
A little sugar Avery pea.
Yeah, right. A little extra for the mistress.
Yeah.
And I would find these stories, and then seeing children who fought back.
Yeah.
Children. like 14, 15 years old fighting back.
Yeah.
All of these things I would see, but they would vanish from the historical record. Then when I was writing my last book, The Grift, I would go down to like a 19th century newspaper rabbit hole, and I would see these headlines, slaves burned down or burning their master's house, like all these things just popping up. And then I heard Kanye West
Oh my.
say slavery was a choice.
Yeah.
I said, what the hell is going on? And then I said, okay, this is some random, rap or whatever. But then I hear the governor of Florida sign a curriculum
Yep.
saying there were personal benefits to slavery.
Yep.
Then the former governor of South Carolina, whose family only got here because of black people and the 1964 Civil Rights Act and immigration policies, Nikki Haley saying that she couldn't even say that our Civil War was about slavery.
Yep.
So I said, okay, I got to tell this story. So then after The Grift blows up, I tell my agent, I say, I'm not doing a political book next. I'm going to do historical fiction. And he was like, oh, I don't know, this could be tough. I said, I got to go, like James Baldwin says, you have to go the way your blood boils. Mm-hmm. And that's basically how it became. But I already had so much of it written. Then you go in and you change things. And at the same time, as I'm writing it, if you listen to the show, my best friend, Alexa Munoz, is dying of lupus. And she died May 25th at 11:40 a.m. So as I was writing the book and finishing it, she was editing the book in her hospital bed as she was dying. And I was also I was very ill at the time. I had esophagitis, so I was going through a serious illness. So all these things came together. So what you read in this book, there is a fire, there is a flame, there is questioning your own mortality, and still, like I say in the book, don't let them take what they can't touch.
Yeah.
As Alexa was dying in her hospital bed, a woman who was a teacher for 25 years in New York and still had to fight for her health care, she was still laughing. She was still making jokes. Yeah. Complaining about the rice and the beans in the hospital. Why can't a hospital make good rice and beans? Till the very bitter end. Still calling me, giving me notes. I hate this paragraph, change it. All of that. Still maintaining her joy. So there's a feeling in this book, and I'm proud of the writing and I'm proud of the stories, but as Nina Simone said, don't put nothing in it unless you feel it. Yeah. And so that's how this all came to be.
You do something that I think is interesting. I mean, we don't hear a lot about these types of resistance stories. In every facet of this book, you see that. But one of the things that I noticed, and I see so many here today, I'm not going to call all the names, but from Ruby to Mama Beth, Josephine, Charity, and others, there's a real centering of black women in these fights. Oh, yeah. And we don't really hear about black women in that time and era being ones who were orchestrating and leading and innovating how these things would happen. So what was your premise, or not the premise, but why did you center so many black women in this piece?
You know, it's funny, Reese Colbert, y'all love Reese, right? Reese Colbert. She pointed this out to me. She goes, I love how, I mean, you're right. When you hear about rebellions, you never hear about black women.
No.
You know, you're mainly here, and again, we love Nat Turner, we love Denmark Vesey, but you just never, even with the Haitian Revolution, you rarely hear about black women. So I wanted to show black women fighting back for their own autonomy. Yeah. It wasn't about they were fighting back for a man, nothing wrong with that, but it was just for them, or for their kids, nothing wrong with that. But they were fighting for themselves, for their womanhood, for who they are. So I could only imagine, regardless of who is remembered now, that black women were always there, because they're there right now.
Yes.
They're there right now, and it's not just Harriet Tubman, and we adore her, worship her, but there had to have been more. So I wanted to resurrect these names, and there's one particular part where one character doesn't listen to a black woman, and you see what happens, right? So that is all in this book, that these rebellions, it's not some random vision, it's not some something that just happened, that there's strategy behind it. And one of the characters, Josephine, I found a newspaper article from 1857 that quotes her. Wow. Quotes her. And in the beginning of that chapter, the quote is, gonna make a change here today. And she did.
She definitely did.
So to have her actual words, I mean, in it just felt so special. And not to be like dramatic, but as Larice says, I could be a little bit woo-woo. You know, I almost felt like these characters just coming through me. Yeah. Like Josephine just saying, let this out, tell this story. So I had to center them because we are them, you know? Black women have always been in these spaces with us. So it felt very natural and just made sense.
It's really great. I think too, there's something that came out in the book that I learned about when I went to South Carolina about 7 years ago. I wasn't aware that enslaved people were rented.
Oh yeah, rented out.
Had no idea, and sometimes they were leased by the state. So can you speak to kind of like you wrote about that in this book and kind of why that happens?
Well, that was an ongoing thing because it was just common property, right? So sometimes when the demons, the enslavers, weren't making enough money, they would rent out their property to other people, and that was, again, this is capitalism. Yeah. This is the demonic exchange of people. And one of the things I say in the book is that this is the sick idea of this institution that you think you can make a human a slave, right? A quote unquote slave. So yeah, that was part of the prophet, and I wanted to show that one of the characters is being rented out, and she has a clever way to figure things out as well. So there was always innovation there on the part of the trading of human bodies. Yeah. And so that's a lot of people don't know. They think it's just one person on a plantation forever, but it was a complete economic infrastructure. Yeah. It was completely there that a lot of folks aren't aware of. So the fact that I could highlight a few of those gems in the book, that makes me really happy.
I think, we talk about what was happening at that time for a lot of people. Another thing I never thought about, and this book was so revelatory in many ways, was I never thought about folks who were born on those plantations and literally never left.
Yeah.
They never saw town. They never saw the next county. They never saw the next city. Right. Their entire lives were relegated to that space. Yeah. But even in those microcosms, they still fought. They still made the best of it. They still found love. They still found life. Yes. They still tried to build relationship. And I think it's just a testament to the enduring power of enslaved people, black people specifically in this instance, who've always found joy, as you talk about on the air all the time, no matter where they were.
Well, and this is an important point because you said towns, counties, right? Which is accurate. But I want us to think of it a different way. Borders, lines, where are you legal? Where are you illegal? Where does your citizenship start? Where does it begin? And I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I'm just saying the history rhymes, right? So as I was writing this book, I was like, well, damn it, this sounds something like we going through today.
Glad we in church.
Say it again? Oh, I'm sorry. No, Lord have mercy. I didn't say God, did I? I said, okay, I'll forget. Is the D word's a cuss word too? Oh, I'm sorry. Lord have mercy. I'm just a heathen. Josephine, Luke and Henry would be cool with it. I think that. Forgive me. No, seriously. So yeah, this idea of being in this space and where you're a citizen, I just think it's really important to look at it through that lens because there's so many commonalities to where we are today. And we're right now debating citizenship. We're debating where are you free, showing your papers. All of that is in there.
It's in there.
Right. So yes, this idea that people are in this one space forever and they still aren't considered legal. Somebody's been in this country since they were a child.
Yep.
And they aren't considered legal.
Yeah.
So I want us to really see beyond our lens, because the other side, they've done their 19th century research. They tried to charge Don Lemon with the 1871 KKK Act.
Yeah.
A black man from Louisiana charged with the 1871 KKK Act. They are doing their Jim Crow, even pre-Jim Crow, antebellum chattel slavery research to try to turn the tables. I was even thinking this today as I'm here in Georgia. Interesting, most of y'all might know, but in case folks are watching online or whatever the case may be, that Georgia rejoins the Union after the Civil War. And then it gets expelled from the Union because they kicked out the black folks in local Congress. here in Georgia. They kicked them out. So they had to get expelled. Then they got put back in the Union once they let the black men come back in and represent here in Georgia. Like, that's the push and pull that we've been in. And now we see black elected officials under attack, from Tish James to LaMonica McIver to Fonnie Willis. I mean, these things, again, not the same, but the rhyming. Yeah. So we ought to be able to hear the rhyme and burn down Master's house.
Talking about that, I think about specifically the Larkin and Charity story. It was one of the most riveting pieces for me to be, quote unquote, free for so many years. And then they did something that I found shocking. They trusted the system.
Well, Larkin did. Charity was like,
she
I'm trying
didn't,
to tell you.
but he trusted
please,
the system.
Lord, please listen to me.
And so it made me think about Dr. King's rebuke of moderate white people, when he wrote about it. And I wanted you to just expound on like that sentiment, that particular, the way we've seen that play out, the way that we have this inherent, proven distrust of the system that has not always served us well.
So a lot of people have been asking me, when I say burn down Master's house, what are the call to actions, right? And I heard Gil Scott-Heron say this, and I've been saying on this tour, that when he was saying the revolution would not be televised, he was talking about right here.
Yeah.
He said, you can't have a revolution if you're not free up here. So when I say burn down Master's house, I'm talking about up here.
Yeah.
We got to burn it down up here, right?
Yeah.
What's the house in your life you got to burn down? What do you have to escape from? I'm trying to ignite a flame with whatever your experience is, whatever your journey is, what do you have to do to burn it down? So with those particular characters, with Charity and Larkin, Charity was trying to get Larkin to burn down the belief he had in this system.
Yeah.
To burn down that this is going to actually serve us, and you'll see what happens, right? So it's a great analogy for what I'm begging the reader to do. It may not be a physical burning, but what does the flame look like for you? And then when someone's trying to light the flame for you, will you let them light it, or will you just blow it out, right? We all have these triggers. I was saying this to Karen Hunter. Y'all love Karen, don't you? Is Nubia out there?
Yeah.
Dr. Daniel Black. Woo-hoo. Oh my gosh. Can you come up closer, Dr. Daniel Black? Or are you there? I feel bad. Okay. Dr. Daniel Black. Oh my God. Oh, brother, give me a hug. We never met in person. Woo! All right. Where were we? You see how 48 years old, that was a big hop up them steps now. I'm the bionic boy. What were we saying now? I got solely shook up. Oh, Karen Hunter. So, Karen, I was on the radio, and this guy called in, I wish I had his name, and he said that knowledge manages terror. Knowledge manages terror. So every time Karen's on these airwaves, right, she is managing terror with knowledge. Yeah. And so that's kind of to what you were saying with believing in these systems. This is what we're in right now, but do you have the knowledge of it to manage the terror, to manage the anxiety? And I've been saying where we are right now as a culture, we have to observe but not absorb, right? So when I see certain things happen and this and whatever crazy stuff that goes down, in my heart, I'm like, my knowledge, being a Black Studies major, knowing politics, knowing history, knowing these stories, the secondary characters are all named after my ancestors in Goochland, Virginia. So it is ancestral in this book, right? Yeah. So all throughout that, I think we're managing our terror through knowledge. And again, that goes back to burning it down in our mind. And what will that trigger after that?
We look at this book also, and we see there's so many things. There's so many. You could just do like a book on like 100 things in here. Harriet and Sophia.
Oh, the girls.
And what I thought about was we deal with the adultification of Black children all the time. Right. And so I thought about the kind of adult or mature decisions they had to make at a very young age, and how that shaped them and how that has kind of been passed down over and over again with us being in these situations where they don't get to just be children, to just be thoughtless and careless and free and express love and joy and curiosity. They had to be conscious of real trauma, of real life and death decisions, and then act on those things. How do you think seeing that in this book, these characters, how do we deal with that today? Should we deal with that today? How should we address that? And how do we look at that kind of connection between what we're seeing there and what we see now, and things that we could do to kind of reverse that, so to speak?
It's interesting. I was talking to Laurie Daniel Favors about this, and somebody asked, is this book appropriate for kids? Mm-hmm. And Laurie said, she has a 12-year-old and I think a 19-year-old. And Laurie said, bringing up Harriet and Sophia, those are the two children in the book who are featured, based on real people, Harriet and Sophia, they were sisters. And Laurie said, I'm going to read this book to my 12-year-old because there's a scene in the book, and I think you brought it up one time, Gina. There's a scene in the book where Josephine sees something. Mm-hmm. And the character Ruby says, no, baby, I want you to watch this.
Yes.
I want you to watch it burn, right? And so Laurie was saying that as a parent, that, and I agree with you, the adultification and all of that, but what would it look like? Nothing, gratuitous or vile or anything like that, but what would it look like to show children or to walk them in a path of saying, hey, here's an example of revolution. Here's an example of burning it down. Here's an example of how you can fight back. Because in whatever way a kid can. Now, of course, guided by, parents. Those two characters, that whole idea, don't let them take what they can't touch. That was passed down from Charity and Larkin, right? So what are you arming your kids with? Now, it's up to each individual person. But kids are experiencing life so much differently now. There's social media. So I've thought about that, just is this book too adult for kids? But when I was a kid, I was reading remember V.C. Andrews? Remember that?
I was at church. I didn't read that.
Oh, no, I was first of all, I was listening to Prince, Darling Nikki. I'm not a parent, but yeah. I would think that with your parent by your side guiding you, it could still keep the innocence of a kid, but just explaining the realities. They teach the history of Nazi Germany in Germany with kids in elementary school.
Yeah.
Right? Is that too adult? It's being taught. And I will tell you this, if we learned this version of quote unquote American chattel slavery back when you and I were kids,
yeah,
we'd be a much different country.
Yeah. We would be.
I believe the children are our future.
Because what I thought about too in terms of a comparative analysis is all the images we've all seen of little white children standing under a black person hanging by a tree.
Exactly.
And so they were exposed to this kind of torture, which groomed them, which normalized it, which desensitized them to that. And so
but listen,
this example of exposing these black children to revolution, to fighting back, is really important.
And there's one part in the book where a lot of people get it. I mean, get the lick back. And the characters, they say, we have to end the bloodline. Mm-hmm. We have to end it because this will be passed on to the next generation. Mm-hmm. Now, they ain't ending John Brown. They ain't ending, but these are the devil's spawn. And we have to end the bloodline because we can't leave no one standing, no mercy. They say, I want to hear what mercy sounds like. So it's a way to think about, folks, this generation will just die off. Will they? Will they die off? And they've been saying that since I was a kid. I'm 48 years old. They literally tore down a slavery exhibit in my hometown of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Not in Jackson, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Not in Decatur.
Yeah.
Not in Galveston. In my hometown of Philly. So it's a really interesting to look at these kind of stories and how we teach them to kids.
It's really important too to give a full picture of what you did in this book when it comes to people like Nathaniel.
Oh yeah. The black enslaver.
Yeah.
I wanted to make Clarence Thomas happy, so it's just. Figured that would make Clarence happy. I'm like, oh, I like that character. He might retire and just play the role in a movie. He was raised in Pinpoint, Georgia.
Yes.
A town found by formerly enslaved people. Now look at him. Yeah.
Look at him now. Why was it important for you to include a character like that?
Well, it's kind of an ode to the grift that I wanted to show. There has always been grifters. There has always been hustlers. There has always been a check to uphold white supremacy. Now, there's an expiration date, and Nathaniel learns.
Yes, he does.
And they all learn. We all know how the story is going to end.
Yeah.
Stacey Dash, Omarosa,
Yeah.
Kanye West. give Nicki Minaj about 3, 4, 5, 6 months, maybe less than that.
Yeah.
They all have their wake-up call.
Yeah.
They all do.
Tim Scott.
Now some folks hit the grifting lottery, like Clarence Thomas, like Tim Scott. Oh, Tim Scott's babbling about, that meme was so racist. But is the person who posted it racist?
That's the question.
Say it.
That's the question.
Say it. So they all gonna learn. And what's interesting about that character is, because there were so few black enslavers, and the ones who did own other black people, they normally owned their family, because some states had anti-emancipation laws. Can you believe that? An anti-emancipation law, where it was illegal to emancipate enslaved people. Yeah. So for this one, he was based on a real person, and the historical record about him was disturbing, because he was doing everything he could to compete with the white enslavers, to show I'm just as good as them. I'm just as powerful as them, right? Yeah. So I thought it was important to show that anti-blackness is a sickness, and it can be evil. And when we talk about some of the buffoons I mentioned earlier, the sad thing is that it can turn into policy. I mean, Rosa Parks was on record warning about Clarence Thomas, that this man is dangerous. Yeah. And part of the reason why that Voting Rights Act was gutted in Shelby County versus Holder, it was him. He said, I want the entire Voting Rights Act gone. Yep. And if Clarence Thomas says it, well then, my God, it's he's a black man saying it, right? And even his own family, he characterized his sister as a welfare queen. So, you see what Nathaniel does. There's a lot of nuggets. There's a lot of tying into where we are today. So it's always, there's one of the, I think was it Denmark Vesey? They were, the ones who ratted them out, they were gifted with freedom. I think it was Peter and George. And in the paper they wrote, they have an unimpeachable reputation. So they were gifted freedom, they were given money, and they went on to buy black people. These are black people. Yeah.
I have friends who live in South Carolina who know that family, they're still there.
There you go, see?
Yeah, they're still there. Yeah. All right, I wanted to deal with those people first and then come to one of the most interesting characters, which is Thaddeus Stevens.
Oh, Thaddeus, famous abolitionist, yeah.
Yeah, but you shed some light on his
Y'all know
journey.
who Thaddeus Stevens is? He was a famous abolitionist, and he was about that life. He thought that the South should never rejoin the Union. They should only be military territories. He thought that if you were a Confederate general, you should not be able to vote or own property again. He was too far for even the other quote unquote ones who were abolitionists. They thought he went too far. But his history, how he got there, was very interesting.
But I think it's a really important point to make, because when we hear abolitionists, we automatically think somebody who's anti-racist, who's anti the racist institutions, and that's not necessarily the case.
Right.
There are people who are abolitionists who still didn't see black people as equals.
Right.
Still lesser, just you shouldn't be enslaved.
Right.
And so I feel like that's kind of where he was in this book when you kind of bring him into the story. So can you talk about like where he was and kind of his evolutionary track here?
Well, the white folks in the book, they aren't all the same. You got Thaddeus Stevens, you got a character named Miss Clara. Yeah. So I wanted to show the nuances there. Now, they aren't centered in the book, but I wanted to show that what does it mean to be an ally? Yeah. What does this mean to allegedly, I support you and I believe in your freedom? What version of freedom do you believe in? And is it just you believe in it because it's convenient for you to believe in it? Like, oh yeah, it's not going to affect me, because nobody cares until they're impacted, right? And if you don't believe in it, then maybe now it's inconvenient. So for Thaddeus Stevens, and I had to fictionalize that because in every single biography on him, they mention the person that he did wrong. I don't want to give anything away, in like 3 sentences, and that's it.
That's it.
And there's got to be a lot more there. And I found the court records from the case that he was a part of. So I wanted to show, like, again, burn down these lies. He is worshiped. He is praised. Should we worship him? Yeah. Yes, he did some great work. Yeah. But think of the family that he ruined. So, and you'll read it, but that's the case that made him a star. That was his first case that goes to the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And because of that, he becomes Thaddeus Stevens. Yeah. Because of that. So now, did he evolve? Did he grow? Is there redemption? I'll let y'all decide. So wait, we're going to start lining up for questions soon. So if you have some questions, don't be afraid. Come on and line up right here in the center of the church. We're going to just line up if you have a couple of questions. So yeah,
as people are coming out, I wanted to speak a little bit to
please.
Abram.
Yes.
Young, impressionable, kind of dealing with like feeling this kind of conflict of helping to do things that he knew were wrong. Then evolving, I guess, at some point when things went left. How do you write about this character, and I thought he's one of the most interesting people because of his own kind of internal conflict that he was dealing with.
Right.
And we see in that moment, towards the end, I don't want to give too much away, that he definitely is on the other side of that once he sees the ire of Nathaniel's turned against him. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to kind of people who are in the space where they say, like, well, the person's not that bad. Right. They see the harm happening, but to your point, it's not to them. And when it does happen to them, like it did to him, then they have a change or a switch there.
Yeah, Abram, he's a smaller character. He's in the last chapter, and he's very young. And, we have to think, and he's with the black enslaver, we have to think about these things that, oh, hey, what's up? Girl, look at you. I ain't seen you in a minute. That's my girl. Should have been to Beyond the Mic. I'm sorry. Some of these folks I've seen for a while all across the country. Is it brainwashing? Is it a cult? Is it not a cult? So like, for example, when we talk about quote-unquote MAGA, I do believe MAGA is a cult. But that said, but hold on one second. There's some nuance there, because I don't know if y'all have seen, but I've interviewed people who survived the Jonestown Massacre in 1978 under Jim Jones. They were victims. Are the folks in the MAGA cult, are they victims? So not everybody who's in a cult is a victim.
Sure.
Right? So I want to be clear. When you say, oh, it's a cult, it's a cult, it's a cult, it's like, okay, wait a minute now. Like, they're very willing, or did they just find their dear leader? Right? So with someone like that character, how much autonomy does he have? Mm-hmm. Right? He is trying to live, he's trying to exist, right? And he is a character, and y'all will read about him, he doesn't have patience. Yeah. He is not strategizing.
Right.
Right? So at the end of the day, the uprisings in this book, it is not accidental. It is intentional. It is pointed. There is a blueprint there.
Yes.
And that was really, really important for me to highlight. All right. Let's rock some questions. Let's start with Mr. Daniel Black. What's up, brother?
What's up, my man? So glad you're here.
Thank you.
I'm honored by many things. One of those simply is your boldness, your submission to the Spirit in speaking the beauty and the power of same gender-loving brothers, right, in this time and in this era. And I'm saying that because, of course, what we know is that LGBTQ folks have always been among African people. My question is, I've wondered what in the world people have been running from in terms of including this very important part of our population in the story of our trauma, our slavery, our bondage. Why in the world do most people avoid it?
Thank you, Dr. Black. Because let's be real, a lot of people think being gay is a white thing. A lot of people think that it's some kind of gay agenda from white people. When I was growing up, I heard that Europeans brought homosexuality to the continent. Yep. So when I was younger, I didn't know any black gay folks, so I did think being gay was a white thing. I can recall when I first
Where
was
were you
hanging
living?
in Philly.
Oh,
No, I didn't know. I did think that. Well, listen, I'm telling you, I just didn't know. So when I first saw black gay people, I mean, when I saw gay folks on TV, I didn't see any black gay folks.
Yeah.
I grew up in the hood of West Philadelphia, so you just didn't see that. And it was always an insult. So they don't want to include us because...
should have went to a black church.
But that's a whole other nuance there, because they're not out, and they're sitting in oppression sometimes.
True.
And sometimes pass that trauma on to other people.
True.
And I could name names.
Don't name names. But yeah.
That's in the news cycle right now, but I won't do that.
Yeah.
And that's part of the sickness too, that they're harming other people because they've been a self-hating gay man the entire time. But I won't get into all that. So I think that there's this vision that gay folks, black gay folks, just started with the first Diana Ross song. I don't know. And we've always been there, faithfully serving, faithfully standing up. And that kind of erasure is harmful. And if I would have read characters like Luke and Henry when I was a young kid going through it, my God, it would have really moved me.
I mean, I also think, I've heard many times, I'm sure you have as well, that there was no room for that in the movement. Right, that it had to be focused on race.
There was room for it.
No, there was. But I'm saying race.
Because Bayard Rustin's there, James Baldwin's there.
But I mean in terms of like the narrative, like what we're fighting for.
No, there was room. There was room.
Yeah,
There's
always was.
Room. There's always room.
But that was part of the dialogue.
I mean, you had Adam Clayton Powell calling Bayard Rustin Martin Luther Queen. You know what I mean? Like there was always room. But it was the erasure. It's the fear.
Yeah.
Right? And so what I'm trying to burn down is the fear. Because it isn't about the sex. I tell people, we always think about LGBT folks above the groin, below the groin, and never above the groin. Mm-hmm. It isn't about the sexuality, right? And what those characters experience, it is love. Yeah. And then when another character sees that love, it triggers her.
Yeah.
So some folks told me that it was, I shouldn't have been included that, but I did. I'm proud of it, and I have to assume that it obviously existed.
Yes.
It's human nature. Being gay is as natural as the sun rising or the sun setting. Yeah. So thank you for that question. Gina.
Hey, two things for the people who feel that this book may not be appropriate for young people. I just want to remind everyone that iconic picture in Alabama of those people getting hosed down and dogs sit on them were children.
Yes.
Because their parents were at work, so their children stood in their place. Yes. These kids are on Wattpad. They can handle it. Trust.
Yeah.
They're on Wattpad reading all kind of crazy things. My question for you is, a lot of people feel like this book, I don't know if I can handle it. Is it going to trigger me? I just can't take a story like this.
Yeah.
How did you, in the writing process, handle and process your emotions, reading, and like Dr. Black said, because in his work, those ancestors jump in him, and I could tell that they jumped in you.
Yes.
How did you handle the emotions that came with telling their story?
Yes. Thank you, Gina. Thank you. So one thing is that I didn't want to write another slave story. So the way that I handled it is I made sure they were centered. Yes. They were centered. Yes. Like, remember watching, if y'all watched it, Amistad? Remember that movie?
Yes.
I was like, is this the Matthew McConaughey movie? Why am I seeing Matthew McConaughey all throughout this movie? The movie Lincoln with Daniel Day-Lewis. There wasn't even a Frederick Douglass character in the movie, right? Yeah. So when we talk about these stories of slavery, I wanted to make sure their voices were centered. So that really helped me in a big way. And other things I refused to do. I didn't use the N-word one time in this book. Not one time.
I love that.
I was not going to write a book, N-word this, N-word that, every other page. I wasn't going to do that. So there was that. And then there was a satisfaction because I knew what was coming. And I said, well, I'm going to show justice as raw and as extreme and as powerful that I possibly can. So that was all in me. And then lastly, my grandfather was from Goochland, Virginia. Didn't learn how to read till he was 40 years old. He would sit me on a stoop when I was a kid in West Philly, and he would pull out the newspaper, and he would have me read to the block. And he would say, that boy can read. Look at that boy read. That boy can read. So my grandfather's spirit was in this book with me. So as uncomfortable as it might have been, as I say in the intro, discomfort is the extravagant price for truth. So I leaned into that. And you also, lastly, and I've said it on this tour, I just never hear Jewish folks say, no more Holocaust stories. I don't think we've even really tapped the surface of American chattel slavery. We haven't really tapped it. Now, if we're doing the same old thing, I also didn't write it in that hyper Southern, broken down, stereotypical trope language where it's spelled out DA versus the. I wanted y'all to feel the linguistic beauty of Southern folks. So all of that kept me in it, kept me in the zone, and I just felt everybody with me. And I knew as long as those voices were censored that I was on the right track. Thank you, Gina. Hey.
Hey, Ted.
Hi.
Hey,
Did you fly down here?
Delaware, yes.
Delaware, oh my gosh, thank you. One of my favorite callers, y'all. We've had so many fun times on here.
Don't give away
I won't.
my alias.
Exactly.
I just wanted to know, when is the book club? Where is it going to be? If you have any information so we can start getting ready for the book club.
So we're gonna do one in Nubia. I believe we're gonna do, I think, the last Sunday of this month. Black Women Reads, they're using it for a book club selection. That's incredible. Aardvark using it for a book club selection. The book clubs have been on it. I mean, in many ways, Gina triggered a lot of the book clubs to check it out. So Nubia definitely though. Yeah, we're gonna rock it. So for all the folks who've read it to really, really get in. Thank you, appreciate you. Hey, sir.
Peace and blessings, my brother. Can you
Thank you. What's your name? Where you from?
It's Brother K. Fing.
Uh-huh.
I've called your show before, and I just want to thank you for writing this book.
Thank you.
For writing The Grift.
Thank you.
For being who you are. I want to thank the whole lineup of Urban View, all of you all.
Thank you.
You all be hitting it from the morning. What I do, I turn you all on. I'll turn the TV on, but I got you all. I got the volume up, listening to you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Telling the truth.
Yes.
And thank you for being that voice in the wilderness for our people.
Yes.
Because we got so much confusion out here.
Yes.
We need somebody who can center us. And I'm just so thankful for all these brothers and sisters who are in here,
yes,
who showed up because you've touched the spirit.
Yes.
You've tapped into something, and I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
But my question is, you've written Burn Down Master's House.
Yes.
Is there a message in there for how we as a people can build our own house?
Right. Thank you for that. Well, kind of what I was saying before, we got to burn it down up here. And my ask is that we all have to look internally. So there's so many things, whether it is getting involved locally. I mean, this book, they are involved locally. You know what I'm saying, right? They are involved locally in the house, right? Locally, whether it's your nonprofit. My ask has been to gift this book to young people. This book is a thread. It's not a one point of view story. I'm trying to get this book in prisons. Y'all know my Exonerated series. I interviewed exonerees for half a decade. And one of the things they always brought up is there are people who did commit the crime who are behind bars, but they are overcharged, right? So I think it's an ask to find whatever the flame is within you, right? I don't know what that is for everybody, but whatever the flame is within you, even the kind of work that, Teddy does. Teddy is a singer and an activist. He does this work, this dual kind of work. So I want us to find that flame. But one big thing, I think what saddens me, and Dr. Black brought it up a little bit earlier, I hope that people really see the connectivity in this book. It breaks my heart when I see fissures in our community, right? Yeah. It breaks my heart when I see somebody saying, well, you aren't really black if your parents weren't born in this country. Yeah. And the first character in this book is from the continent, right? Yep. The first flame starts with him. Yeah. I don't want to throw away people who are not, whatever this foundational, whatever I don't want to throw them away. That's right. I don't want to throw away LGBT folks. That's right. I don't want to throw away our elders. The elders are very important in this book. So I want us to collect. I don't want us to be a remixed version of a Willie Lynch letter. And I don't know if it's social media. I don't know what it is, but when I was younger, it just didn't appear this way. I can recall us being proud of being like Afrocentric. I grew up with De La Soul and Queen Latifah, and I just remember a pride in our roots and all these things. And I hope that this sees there are so many versions of us in the book. Yeah. We can't throw any of us away. Yeah. So that's my hope too. I hope people you could see a little bit of yourself in this and like, oh, we can't throw away this person. The way that I hear older black voters being talked about, especially in New York after the Mamdani election, these are the backbone of the Democratic Party, older black voters. Yeah. Oh, they're the problem because they voted this way. My God, I don't want us to think any of us are the problem. My deal breaker is, are you upholding white supremacy?
Yeah.
If you're doing that, then it's wrong. But if we're on the same page, then we're good. So I hope that people see the burning down wasn't one person. It wasn't one person going house to house, setting a flame. It's a collective, and they pass it on, even if they are no longer here. We are all going to be an ancestor one day. Yeah. So how are we preparing for that moment? Yeah. And how are we passing it down for the person behind us? So I really hope that's the takeaway. I want us to be as unified in our blackness as possible. Yeah.
Hello. Hi. First off, this is just such a amazing book that you've written.
What's your name? Where are you from?
Eileen Gray, and I'm right here in Atlanta.
Oh, nice.
What I wanted to say was that starting for me with The Grift, one of the things that it did is it really helped me to put, you call it the rhymes, I call it connecting the dots through history, where we can see that this is not a new playbook, right? I also wanted to acknowledge you're such a brilliant writer, and I love the way that you use the word the souls. Yes. My gosh, when you use that, and the way that you humanized our experience, I thought was amazing. I also know that as a scholar of African American history, all of this for you was very intentional. And also as an author, you have to pick and choose what snippets and stories to tell. So as an author, I was just wondering what were those other stories, those other themes that you said, I didn't cover that theme in this book. So what's another theme in terms of how, from a historical fiction, that you would want to elevate other stories and experiences?
Well, I was considering going beyond the Civil War. So I was, because there were uprisings, there was pushback during Reconstruction. There was a lot of pushback, right? So I was considering going beyond the Civil War, but it didn't work. It didn't make sense. I wanted it to have this ending with the black enslaver as well. So that was a big theme that I was considering. I also was considering with one of the white characters, because there were some white folks, abolitionists, who were beat, who were killed back then. I was considering tackling that, but then I was like, no, I'm good. I was just, it was historically accurate, but I was like, no, I think I'm good. But I didn't want it to be like a 500-page book. I really admired The Bluest Eye and The Color Purple, how those are somewhat smaller books rather. So I wanted to be kind of compact. And this is kind of your question, but I also intentionally, I'm really proud of the writing, but I didn't want it to be too over the top. I wanted it to be accessible. And I can recall at some points I was like, okay, Clay, this ain't your poetry class. Like, calm it down for a minute. I wanted it to be raw. So there was a guy that called in, Tom from West Virginia, that said this is the first book that I read. And I listened to it on Audible rather. I have a third grade education. This book, moved me. So I wanted to make sure it was for everybody. I didn't want it to be some high sedity, like, oh, I won't be able to get it. No, it's for everybody, reading it collectively. So I don't want to say pull back, but I just wanted to make sure that it was still beautiful and elegant, but raw and accessible.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We only have time for a few more, so let's knock it out. We're going to end right here at the end. Thank you, brother. What's your name? Where are you from?
Hey, good afternoon. My name is Brian. I'm from Queens, New York, but I've been in Atlanta like 13 years. So my wife listens to your show. That's how I got turned on to your book and ordered it through Uncle Bobby.
Yes, Uncle Bobby's,
yeah,
Philly.
I ordered it through Uncle Bobby. So I've only been through the first 2 stories, so I'm halfway through the book. In Luke and Henry, Solomon,
Yes.
they got advice from him,
Yes.
but got caught. It doesn't say that he gave them bad advice, but I'm not
I don't want
really
to give anything away.
understanding.
I don't want to give anything
Yeah,
away.
yeah. Okay. To the part about the woods or the forest.
Yes.
How you depicted death
Yeah.
and
the woods.
what was the other one? Escape, not escape. How you pick it? Death. The woods
freedom?
were looked at freedom.
Freedom, yeah.
Death and freedom.
Yeah.
Where'd you come up with that, or how'd you come up with that? And Henry, that African accent.
Yeah.
That he was afraid of.
Yeah.
Was it something that other slaves looked at the slaves who was straight from Africa, like stronger, or what was that about his language?
Right. Well, so a lot of people think that some enslaved people got a cute little burial, once they died, but many enslavers just threw their bodies in the woods.
Yeah.
And that's an incident in the life of a slave girl. They would throw their bodies in woods or in what is it called? Thicket, like thorn bushes. So that was a common place. They would just, because it's biodegradable, if you will.
Yeah.
They would just throw their bodies. Sometimes they wouldn't. But the idea of the woods and graves, in the final chapter, you're going to see a link there.
Okay.
So some things you see in the first chapter and second chapter, it links together at the very end. So there's nuggets all throughout there. As far as Henry being directly from the continent, not all, but there certainly was a fear of somebody who was directly from the continent, that they'll be more rebellious. Were they broken? Will they obey? I told this story about the story of the elephant that's chained, and at a certain point they make the chain a rope because the elephant stops fighting because he's been brainwashed to think, well, it's going to be a chain the entire time. But someone like Henry, he cannot be made a slave, right? Not saying anybody else can either, but there's a fire in him, and he sees a fire and a spark that happens long before he's here, right? So it connects back to his roots. So I just wanted to show all of that connectivity. And, we do it today. I can recall growing up, the jokes we make would be made about people who are from Haiti or who are from Nigeria or Ghana. I think all of that has just been embedded and brainwashed, and it appears to have happened back then. And of course, a darker skinned people can be seen as more threatening, right? So I wanted to just flip all that in its head. And one part where Henry is laying in the back of a wagon, I remember it's one of my first images of the book, and he looks up in the sky. Because I have some folks in my family, they would have an umbrella when it was too bright outside. This is many years ago, because they didn't want to get darker. And he looks up at the sky, and his head, he says, "Let it burn." Like he just wants all that sun on him, right? So Henry every day is revolting every minute. He is the epitome of pushing back. Yeah. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.
But Solomon's cool. Don't hate on Solomon now. He did his best. His eyes messed up.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Miranda.
Hi, Miranda.
I'm from Saginaw, Michigan.
Step a
originally.
little closer. Okay.
I'm from Michigan, Saginaw, Michigan, originally. I've been in Atlanta
Hey.
20 years. Yeah, about 20 years.
Thank you.
So, hey, Saginaw. Okay. I listen to y'all on Fridays. Love that show.
We have a good time.
Yeah, so great book. Read it, quick read, wonderful read. And to the point about the kids, I was asking my friend back there, I was like, how old were we when we started watching Roots at Easter?
Right.
Because I was like, that was traumatic in itself. But that aside, my question, you mentioned in the book, it's in the later part of the book, and you barely touch on it, and I know you're not a huge fan of sinners, but you did.
I'm not a big fan of vampires.
Okay, of vampires.
I love sinners, but the vampires is good.
So there was a character, and I can't remember.
Pedro?
No, this was, she was doing the ritual.
Oh, Emma Jane?
Emma Jane.
Oh, that's my grandmother's name. Emma
Okay,
Jane.
so Emma Jane, she was doing this ritual, and she was speaking with Solomon. I think he
Yes.
was with her.
Yeah, don't
And
give it away
then-
now.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Sorry about that.
See people covering their ears
At
out here.
any rate,
Emma Jane might pop up now. Don't do it wrong.
at any rate, how do you believe, just with that exchange between her and Solomon, how do you believe, based on her going back to her roots and
Yes.
that type of ritual, and Solomon thinking about how this would be perceived as a Christian, and she
Right.
was like, we need to set that aside right now.
Right.
So how would you explain, or how do you believe religion itself is either holding us back or dividing us and keeping us from progressing to where we need to go?
This is a great part. And we don't have a lot of time, but what a great question. This book covers faith and religion so much, right? Part of their revolt, part of their flame is around going to rituals, right? Going to their version of voodoo, going to their version of Yoruba or Santeria, whatever the case may be. That is part of how they fight back. And when y'all get to that final chapter, that final flame would not happen without Emma Jane and the work that she's doing. This doesn't give anything away. One of my friends do y'all know Ifa? Ifa is like an African, so one of my really good friends is Ifa. And I was doing research. I know a little bit about a good amount, but not enough. And I was researching, and he said, well, one of the things that we do is that we get in one of our rituals, we use the dirt from the graveyard dirt from a soldier's grave. And in my mind, I said, well, and this is a line in the book, every quote unquote slave is a soldier. Every soul is a soldier. So Emma Jane needs that dirt, right? So it is all in there. And listen, what I love about Black Christianity is that we have been able to take a faith that was used to oppress us and shift it and change it and mold it to work for us, right? I do believe in God. I pray. I was so sick, I was so ill last year. Teddy would pray over me. I would listen to his music. So I don't want to say it holds us back. I just want us to not shame other ways of worshiping, to think that's the devil. Yeah. That's that juju stuff. You know what I'm saying? But there are Christians and there are more indigenous faith. It is all tied into this book. So thank you for that.
That's great.
Emma Jane Hollingsworth, my grandmother. 2 more questions. How are you? What's your name? Where are you from?
Hi, I'm Kathy, and I'm from Stone Mountain, Georgia.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm so grateful to have gotten your book. I actually heard about it through TikTok.
Oh, love it.
And I'm listening to you read it, which is a whole other level of
Thank you.
absorption, shall I say. At one point you say in the book, how does depravity get passed on? And for me and my ancestors, I have to ask that question, and I have to know it in my bones so that I don't pass it on.
That's right.
And so much is written at the head level, but you brought me into the heart, and you brought me into looking at the white women in particular, and how depraved they were, and how complicit.
Yes.
And I never hear, or I shouldn't say never, I just haven't been exposed yet.
Right.
But I need and I'm hungry for those.
Yes.
Because I know that it's sick.
Yes.
And I know that it's, that it's not, I understand burning down the house.
Yes.
And yet if some of us are left alive, how do we heal it?
Yes. Yes.
And so I hope you'll keep writing.
Yes.
And anyone here keeps writing about that, because my ancestor wouldn't talk about this.
Right.
I know that one of my ancestors had 80 people who were enslaved, but I know nothing about the stories.
Right.
So I need to know what we did.
Yes.
And how we did it. Right. And so thank you, really, is what I want to say.
Thank you.
And the substance of how you wrote is just, it just matters.
Yes.
So thank you.
Well, listen, you nailed it. The complicity, There's a great book called They Were Her Property by Stephanie Jones. The complicity of white women in slavery is understated. It should be highlighted. I have 3 of them in this book. One who's also a Northerner, and the reason why she becomes a quote-unquote slaveholder. Thank you for that. That's why I wrote it. I wanted to highlight that. Mistress Kitty, Lady Bernard, Lady Baynard. Ooh, Lady Baynard. She loved that tea, didn't she? Yeah. So I appreciate that.
I think Clay, I'm sorry. I think this is also why it's so important. We talk about this in very general terms, but this is why the history is so important. It is so important to tell the truth about what has happened in this country. All elements of it, because everybody needs to be educated. Not just, we know most of it, a lot of us do, but everybody needs to be educated about what's happened so that we can make efforts to not have these things, this cycle kind of repeated.
Let me say this really quickly, and if you're on the audience, I'm not being rude at all. I just want to offer this up. Somebody asked yesterday, would you consider writing a book about, white people who did really good work and fought back against slavery and Jim Crow? Totally get the question. It was a fair question. I'm not the person to write that book. That's just not for me. But I feel like we don't hear enough of it.
Yeah.
But I would rather hear about the people who are experiencing the trauma, pushing back and fighting. But the part of the question was, well, you might be able to get some white people who won't take in these kind of folks, but they might take it in if they look like them. And I'm like, well, listen. Like Toni Morrison says, the specific can be universal. So I believe this book is for everybody. If you want to learn, if you want to break down the lies in your head, propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, churning neighbor against neighbor with a click, this is for you.
Yes.
This is not just for black people. Now, I censored us, right? I censored us. But let me tell you, if you were in the airport and you see this, you're going to pause. Well, what the hell is that? Burn it. You can't tell me if you don't see this, no matter who you are. Well, what is that? Now, if you walk away and say, that's racist, then the hit dog is hollering. Yeah. Right? But, well, let me just check it out, right? So I don't think that we need character, because we live our lives seeing folks who don't look like us and get inspired. Yeah. I love my Janis Joplin, and I love my, I love whatever. I don't think that we have to write it to look like them for them to get it. And if that's the effort it takes, then it's already a lost cause. Yeah. Wait a minute now. Is this the brother that got me no, not the cane? No.
I gave you the Marine Corps history books.
Yes.
And the cane.
Yes, you gave me. We have Beyond the Mic. I have it on in my when I'm doing my videos in the back. He gave me a beautiful cane. It's so good to see you again. It took my breath. The best gift I ever got. It was so amazing. Thank you. It's great to see you. And you're a best dressed winner as well. He came in a suit, y'all. He was killing it. He was doing it.
Okay. My name is Joseph Stokes. I'm from Midland, Georgia. That's adjacent to Columbus, Georgia.
Sergeant Stokes.
My question to you, as having a black father and a white mother, do you think that gave you enabled you in any particular way to write this book as passionate as you did?
That's interesting. Well, my mother is very Tina Marie-ish, if you know what I mean. She's very Tina Marie. We could do one more. She's very Tina Marie-ish. So my mother was very explicit about white people. Very explicit. I didn't know the white side of my family at all. They stopped talking to her because she was pregnant by a black man. My mother had a rage against white people, a deep, deep rage. And she was a young girl, don't judge her, but she would say, you cannot trust white people. And when I was living in Washington State, she said, you gotta be smart. I can't always be by your side. One time, we were at a doctor's office, and this doctor, she went to the bathroom, and this doctor yelled at me. And she stormed through that door, and she went off on that doctor. Good old Jersey cussed out. He ain't even cussed like that. That white man almost had a heart attack. And she said to me, she goes, I think I was like 12, I know you're a young boy, but you can't let nobody talk to you that way, because I'm not gonna always be there. And then I moved back home to Philadelphia. And my mom said to me, I was turning 13, 14, and she said, there are certain things I can't teach you anymore as a white woman. You need your father in your life permanently. So it may have gave me some perspective, but I'm a little bit older, so like I don't relate to terms like biracial. I didn't grow up hearing that. Like nobody called Bob Marley biracial, nobody called Jasmine Guy biracial. I get that I'm a light-skinned dude and I have a certain privilege with that. But my mother was very, I remember when Women of Brewster Place came on and she made me watch it with her, said you can't go nowhere, you know, until we watch this together. My mother didn't allow me to go see Malcolm X till I read the book first. My mother didn't have any more than an 8th grade education, but she had seen the evils of white people, and she knew that I had to be prepared. So I think, and then when I told her about the book, she said, when I first said it, she goes, I gotta chill. You must write this book. So when I hear people say, well, if we tell these stories, it's gonna make white kids feel bad about themselves. I got an entire white mama, and she don't feel bad. So, but my boy Antar always jokes, he goes, but you did grow up in a black household. Like so I don't know, like I didn't really feel, my mother was very intentional about the world that I was gonna live in, you know, so. Yeah. Close it out for us, ma'am. What's your name? Where are you from?
Okay. Well, my name is Dorothy Burkett, and I live in Houston, Georgia. Okay. But I'm from South Carolina, Spartanburg, nice. South Carolina. I wanted to find out if you were aware of 2 instances in history, which I have not heard of, I don't hear spoken about. But number one, in Raleigh, North Carolina, they have a plantation there that was owned by Jewish people, and for whatever the reason, they maintain it, so you can go there and visit.
It's a museum.
Yes.
Now, okay.
Well, I mean, it's the plantation.
Okay.
The other thing is that I was. Wonderful. I mean, I was just happy to hear about when I lived in Washington, D.C., I met this Jewish doctor that had his dental degree up on the wall that as a graduate of Howard University. So I said, well, how did you happen to graduate from Howard Dental School? And he said, back in the 70s, there was when we came to Washington, we could not get into the white schools. So I think we need to emphasize too that, you know, that we're not reacting to whites the way they react to us.
Yeah, yeah.
In the sense that they were welcome to Howard University. So
sure.
He said we are very, very happy. So I just wanted to add that to your knowledge.
Thank you so much. Well, listen, I want to thank y'all. I want to thank y'all for Rob. Can you help Rob? I want to thank y'all for coming out. It means so much, really, really does. I'm grateful to be here. Teddy, my boy, my Friday co-host. I appreciate you so much. I'm going to be in Texas next week, so keep me prayed up.
Wait, before everybody leaves, because you know, social media is social media. Can we take a picture with the audience?
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it.
Grab some books so you can hold up some books.
Oh, yeah, let's do it.
And maybe like stand right there in the aisle, and we can like.
I'm in my own picture.
He's gonna get one too.
Yeah, you can do multiples.
Everybody say burn down.
Yes,
Master's
everybody
house.
wave your books. Oh, hold up the books. Books. Okay. Yeah. Stand right there. Okay.
Oh.
Little straight. Excellent. There we go.
Everybody ready?
Okay, keep holding them. I'm going to do one more panoramic because an 8th grader told me how to do this. Because I would have no clue how to do it myself. But that way we can see all of y'all. All right, excellent. Thank you. So some quick things.
Wait, hold on one second before I go. You know the deal, y'all. Say it with me. I ain't never really gone.
Don't forget to stop out, see Sosena, see Tangenay from Brave and Kind Bookstore. They are, of course, local. They are Black-owned and women-operated. Very, very important things. Thank you all so very much. We will see you again very, very soon.